Hi, I'm Chelsea,
And my name's Denise.
and
And you're gonna have to excuse me because I have really bad hiccups.
yeah, okay, so we decided we'd share this amazing moment with you because nobody else knows about it. Okay, so this one time, we were sitting in the hallway at lunchtime.
With our friends, who weren't paying attention. Because they never do when funny stuff happens to us, they're, not paying attention.
We go on, these big, huge, adventures,
It's, in our minds.
Yeah,
we're talking about it, okay, so what we're gonna do is...
Yeah, and, nobody ever pays attention. They just, oh, they're stupid, And then they continue on their conversation.
Okay, but anyway, so we're sitting in the hallway this one time. And, we started having this conversation, about how, we're gonna grow up and we're gonna be swim instructors every summer. Because, she can't actually swim.
Yeah, I can't swim, so I was...
We were talking about how we're going to grow up and we're going to be we're going to be swim instructors,
After I learn how to swim.
So she's going to be, trying to teach these kids, and she's going to be really bad at it because it's the kind of person she is.
And I still wouldn't know how to swim.
And
so I would be sitting there, in my, my pool chair, and, just, sitting there, just, kind of sunbathing and,
And I'd be over there, yelling at my kids, come on, you can do it,
being, supportive.
Like a super good instructor.
And
she, she'd be over there and, looking around, making sure nobody was looking, and then she'd,
hey, kid, come here.
And then she'd kick him in the pool. And, I would go over there and I'm like, dude, did you just kick that kid in the pool? She's like, no.
Oh, and, I didn't kick him. I pushed him. And, she's like,
no, I went over to her and I was like, did you just push that kid in the pool? And she's like, I didn't push a kid into a pool. I kicked him into the pool.
Yeah. And
duh.
She's like, well, it doesn't matter how he got in the, regardless of how he got in the pool, why did you throw him in the pool? I said, again, I didn't throw him in the pool. I kicked him.
And I'm like,
get it right.
And I'm like, dude, you gotta teach this kid how to swim before you can just, toss him in the pool. And she's like, I didn't toss him. I kicked him. She was still stuck on this. And I'm like, yeah. Are you kidding me right now? And then she's like, I don't know how to teach them to swim. I didn't feel like teaching them to swim. Because, they'd self-assess the situation.
Yeah. And they would just kind of,
And I was like,
put them in the water and just, leave them there.
Your kids are drowning right now. There are 3 drowning children in that pool right there, and it is your fault.
And she's like, oh, your kids are stupid, and going on and on about how my kids, these kids that I'm teaching how to swim are stupid.
And then she's like, why don't you jump in and save them? And I'm like,
they're not mine. I'm not going to go save them. Why don't you go save them? And I'm like, that's beside the point,
I'm like, duh, why would I do that? I can't swim. But she didn't say that. No.
And, she keeps going on and on about how my kid, these kids are stupid, and I'm like, really, these kids are stupid? You see that kid over there? He just, smacked into the wall.
And I'm like, well, he wasn't
and now his nose is bleeding.
And I'm like, well, he wasn't wearing his goggles, and she's like,
his goggles.
He wasn't even in the pool, and I'm like, well, that's besides the point, that's irrelevant. And, I'm like, well, one of your kids, jumped in the pool the other day in an area that was clearly said too shallow, and, jumped in the pool and broke his leg. So she's just going on about how this kid apparently can't read.
Yeah. So she's going on and on about how, there's, this big, writing.
Huge sign that says, do not jump, shallow.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, well, maybe he can't read. And
I'm like, well, maybe you should have taught him how to read,
And I'm like, but he's not my kid, his mom should have taught him how to read, or, maybe he should have gone to school to learn how to read. And she's like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 And, I don't remember what you said. What did you say?
I'm having a moment here. But anyway, so, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, that doesn't matter, you should have taught him how to read. And she's like, his mom should have taught him how to read.
He's not my kid.
And I was like, that's what his mom said when she had him. That's what your mom said, my mom said when she had me. That's probably what your mom said when she had you. And,
I'm, looking at her, and I'm like,
and then she goes, my mom's dead. And I'm
with
like,
a straight face.
And I'm like, that makes, makes this awkward. This is weird now. Anyway, you need to teach your kids how to swim. And she's like, this and this and that and the other. And finally, I'm like, you know what? You can't teach them how to swim because you can't swim. And she got all mad. And she was like, got all the press.
I got into a ball and started crying, and
she started hyperventilating and stuff. She's like, oh my god,
I was all upset, and
she's like, I'm like, I started feeling guilty. I went over to her, I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry, I went too far, and this and that, there, and she turns around and she looks at me and she goes, Mom said you had to be nice to me. I'm like,
I can't believe you brought that up again.
Why did you bring that up, And, I'm like, I know, but, she died because of you, so I blame you for her death because it's kind of your fault. And she's like, you know, you still have to be nice to me. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. And I was like, I got a good idea. My kids are good swimmers. Your kids suck. Well, my kids teach your kids, you know?
And we're like, you know, I can't believe you.
Then we can go get coffee. Like, this is the best idea ever.
Like, so we went and got coffee.
Anyway, that was the end of, like, our little, like, imaginary, like, adventure that we had in the middle of the hallway.
Yep.
At school.
It was pretty cool. But nobody saw it.
But, you know, we actually used that as an acting company skit, like, a week later, a couple days later. Maybe it was even a day later.
And we kind of changed it a little bit.
But it was really good, and we acted the whole thing out, and it was really cool, and I thought I'd share that little, like, moment there. But,
Yeah.
you know, and even now, like, we go to the pool, and I'll be, like, joking with her, like, hey, you gonna go kick a kid in the pool? You know, like, you know, she's
It's like, yeah, maybe I will. You got a problem? Like, but it's fun. We got a good moment out of it.
Yeah, so
and now you guys will, too.
Yeah,
Actually,
enjoy
probably
that.
not.
Bye.
Bye.